Hello and welcome to the Inside Stylists podcast. I'm Emma Morton-Turner and you're listening to episode 7, How to Hustle Hard If You Want to Be an Interior Stylist with Maxine Brady. Today's guest has been a stylist for 20 years. She was on the style team at House Beautiful for 5 years and has worked on a number of interiors magazines and brands, including Ideal Home, I'm going to take a deep breath, The English Home, Apartment Therapy, Real Homes, Marie Claire, This Morning, Wayfair. I could go on and on. She also has an award-winning interiors blog, We Love Home. She's done countless videos on YouTube and is about to launch a styling workshop. Today's guest is Maxine Brady. Hello, Maxine.
Hello.
Thank you for letting me come to your lovely home in Brighton.
You're welcome.
I think you've got a really varied career. You've done so much styling. I think maybe we could start by talking about how you became a stylist. It's always interesting to see how you started.
Okay, so I really wanted to work in journalism. That was always my thing. So when I finished my degree in English and politics, I took a master's in print journalism. And I did all my qualifications by NCTJs and everything. And then as part of that, I had to work experience on magazines. So originally I wanted to work in music journalism. And then I I don't know what I got. So I got into EMAP, into a publishing house, which I don't even know. Do EMAP even exist?
I don't think so. That's a name from the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were quite a big publishing house and they had like More magazine and Women's One and Uncut magazine. So they were all in one building. So I started working experience there, and then I started like just literally going to every editorial assistant and going, when are you going on holiday? Can I cover your holiday shifts?
Very clever. That's a good move.
Yeah, and I stuck posters in all the lifts going, do you need an editorial assistant? Can I help you tidy your fashion cupboard? So I did some random stuff like fashion and everything. And then I worked on Period Living magazine.
So you went, sorry, interrupting you.
It's all right.
Did you do any work experience or you just went straight in as assisting?
No, this is all work experience.
All work experience.
So I worked on More magazine, I worked on local newspapers, I wrote music journalism pieces, I worked on my student newspaper. No, I did a lot of grafting.
Yeah.
And then I was doing this sort of like shift work and trying to get like paid holiday cover, but I wasn't getting money. A couple of weeks here, a couple of weeks there, so it was really hard to get work experience. And also I was commuting from Brighton to pay my travel.
Just gonna say,
yeah, so I was like getting up, commuting, working all day in a fashion cupboard, coming home.
You had to pay for your travel to come into London.
They used to give me like £80 a week or something.
Yeah, which doesn't cover
it. Didn't
travelling
really, sort of covered it, but that was it.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Couldn't eat. You could just
travel.
That's
it. Yeah, just have like Kit Kat and that'd be it. And then I covered someone at Period Living magazine, and the editorial assistant left. And literally just walked out, and they were like, "Do you want
a sign?"
It was really should have been a sign. And they were like, "Do you want the job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it until like something better comes along." So I was like 20, and I didn't have a clue. Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, it's all right." And because it was a really small team, I think there were 5 of us on the team compared to all these other magazines that had big stars and fashion. There was just 5 of us. And so I was quite bored because we didn't have internet. There was nothing. There was literally just have magazines and answering the phone. And so they just used to give me features to write. So I started to write more and more features. Anyways, long story. So I started writing then for them, and then I saw this woman waft into the office, and she had like armfuls of fabric and a floaty scarf, like old school stylists.
Yes.
With loads of floaty clothing on. And I was like, oh my God, who are you? Like, what do you do? And I was like, oh God, you just get to play with flowers and fabrics. I was like, I want to do what you do. Because I didn't know if I wanted to be a writer.
Yeah.
And so that was basically became my inspiration. And then I pestered the Homes editor on Elle magazine, and I became her assistant in my lunch hours and after work.
Oh my God.
On top of my job.
Wow.
Yeah. And then eventually I left Period Living, and I just had networked quite heavily at PR events and got on really well with people. And then I freelanced for a couple of years. That's the start bit.
That's
always hustling.
That's really impressive. I've never heard anyone say
You never heard
like
any of that?
No, I've not heard your story, but I've not heard anyone come from that point of so clear vision of what you wanted to do and how to kind of go out and graft to get it. That's really inspirational. Anyone listening, you have to work hard to get
Yeah,
to be at this
You don't
standard and this level.
Yeah, you don't, I was always doing 2 jobs. I was probably not allowed to do 2 jobs. I think I was working on a magazine and I was like doing shopping pages for Closer magazine. I think because I really liked interiors, but they weren't, I was 20 and I was working with loads of women who are in their 40s, my age now.
Yeah.
And I was a bit like, I just want to do something a bit more fun.
Yeah.
So I would always try and contact all the other magazines and go like, oh, there's a travel magazine. I've got this idea. I'm going on holiday to Spain. Could I write about my holiday to Spain if I follow in the footpaths of Laurie Lee?
Yeah.
I just kept pitching ideas all the time to all the different departments. And that was the great thing about it. So I was always going around, and I didn't obviously have masses to do as an assistant because I just used to wander around the building for a couple of hours and knew all the other editorial assistants and do you need a hand? I can help. And just because I just wanted to I just knew it was a massive privilege to be where I was and to get as much experience as possible. And yeah, I did.
You're very confident. It takes quite a lot of confidence to be able to do that. I think when I was trying to get, I started at IPC and I went around all the magazines and I was petrified talking to people. You weren't too scared. You were like, you knew what you wanted, so you knew who you had to speak to kind of talk to them.
No. I was quite naive, to be honest. I was just like, all I ever wanted to do since I was 16 was to work in London, and I was like, oh my god, I'm working in Soho on Carnaby Street. It's so cool. And
have you always been lived in Brighton?
Yeah. I lived in London for a few years, when I first started out, because you can't afford to commute. So yeah, I just think it was that thing of like just being really naive and just going, I just want to do what you do. I remember meeting the editor. Oh my god, it's embarrassing. The editor of Elle Deco on the escalators, and I knew who she was. And I was like, "Hi, I'm Maxine. I work at People living in the same building." And she was like, "Oh, okay." But I just I wanted everybody to know who I was.
I think they do now.
Yeah, maybe
in a good way.
Yeah, and I just wanted people to know that if you have a job, come and think of me. Ask me. And it was really hard. It was during a massive recession, and magazines were being cut, we were losing staff, there just wasn't any jobs, and I was trying really hard to make that step up to do something different. And it was quite easy to get pigeonholed as well on a magazine, and I really didn't want to get pigeonholed in that period living bracket. Well, obviously period living, it's not really rock and roll title. But yeah.
So you went to work on the style team at House Beautiful.
Yes.
And you were there for 5 years.
I was there for 5 years.
And then did you go freelance after that?
Yeah, so I actually got made redundant, which was amazing.
Oh, we've all been there.
Loved it. So I don't know. I actually wanted to leave anyway. I know everyone says that. I wanted to leave.
No, but 5 years on one title is kind of enough to have done enough Christmases and Easters, and you want something new,
and I had
challenge.
6 editors in 5 years.
Really?
I think I had 5 or 6 editors in 5 years.
Wow.
I had a lot of
change.
And I was probably it was hard. That was hard.
Yeah.
And I worked my way up as well. I joined as a style assistant, and by the time I finished, I was sort of deputy style editor. So I'd worked my way up under lots of different bosses and style editors, and then they made me redundant, I'd already been looking to work out in Cape Town, and I was desperately saving money to try and pay for the visa and to go out to Cape Town to live or work, because I knew there's a really good film industry out there. And then they gave me £9,000, and I was like, woo, okay.
Goodbye winter, hello sunshine.
Yeah, exactly. So I bought a round the world ticket. But I thought, I can't just go around the world travelling. I have to, which is why I did this, I don't know. I need to still be present in the industry. So what I'm going to do is organise shoots around the world on my round the world trip. So I pitched the idea to Country Homes Interiors and Idle Home and House Beautiful, and I did 3 shoots for them in Cape Town. Then I did some shoots out in New Zealand for my friend who worked for Australian magazine, and then I did something in New York as well on my way around.
Wow.
Yeah, so it sort of paid for my trip as I went around. Yeah.
How was it shooting abroad? Was it different to shooting here?
Yeah, it's very different. I'd already done a big shoot out in Cape Town a couple of times, so I knew the logistics of it. But yeah, the stress levels is insane. Yeah, my props got impounded.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because I was trying to import because they hadn't done the carnet properly, and I trusted the people to do. Yeah, so just stress levels are pretty high, and especially it was supposed to be a fun adventure going around the world. And actually, it's very fun being an adventure back. Actually, I've got to go to bed early because I've got to go out tomorrow and drive on the other side across South Africa to shoot a beach. Oh, and then there's been a power cut at the location, so I can't iron anything.
But you're in the sun.
It's fine, yeah. I mean,
do you know what? I think stylists have this, it'll be fine, I can fix this. You have that kind of can-do attitude.
Yeah,
don't
you just push on through. You know, you've kind of, it's like, well, I don't know, I'm a good baby, but like people say when you're a baby, you forget about the pain. It's
you never go back for a second if it was that bad.
No, exactly. So you same thing, you know, and with each shoot you learn a different skill, or okay, that problem happened, I know next time how to be preventative. A lot of our job is about being preventative.
Yeah, absolutely. So how long were you travelling for?
Oh god, well I travelled for about 6 to 8 months, then I came back, and then for maybe 7 years I would go away for 6 months of the year. So I went to South America for 6 months, and then I did...
Working or...
No, I learned my lesson.
Travelling. Just enjoying it.
I worked like a mofo during the summer, and I did every single job I could. I had an agent then, so I was just styling. And then it's pretty much from... It's different now, I'm busier now, but like probably from the end of October, once it started to get dark, through to like January, probably the end of March, I didn't have masses, because the daylight went, you don't have masses of still photography. So, but actually, no, saying that, I used to take features away with me. So I would do shopping pages when I was in Cambodia. I'd be on there really rubbish Wi-Fi, trying to find...
It's not stressful at all.
No, it's not. Trying to find... And everyone would be like, well, we're going tubing. And I'd be like, I've got to find a sofa for Style at Home magazine with their shopping pages. So I did always have bits of work keep going. Yeah, I'm just like workaholic. So yeah.
So as a freelancer, what kind of work do you enjoy doing the most, or do you kind of like to keep it varied?
That's quite a tricky one. Okay, so I love doing the big styling projects. You know, that's my dream. So I love...
As in editorial or commercial or both?
Both. Probably, I love doing editorial, but it just doesn't come around so much. But then there's nothing like, you know, when you get a magazine and you see your cover on it, and everyone says you've seen it, so that's really great. But I do really like getting with a brand who probably haven't done great photography before, and then you start from scratch and you come up with almost like a whole new brand for them. You art direct, you produce the shoot, you come with and you end up with these images and they're just blown off, but they look so amazing. So that I get a huge amount of satisfaction with. Yeah,
I can relate to that.
Yeah, definitely.
When I spoke to Charlotte, we talked about our disasters, of which there have been many. Have you had any crazy disasters on shoots, or features that have gone completely... I mean, having your props impounded is kind of... I think that's a big disaster.
Think about that one. That was quite bad. Yeah, I had another thing where I was doing a Christmas shoot, and it was my first big shoot freelance, and it was for Idle Home, which is obviously a massive rival to House Beautiful, so it was a bit of a niche for me doing this. And I was like, okay, and I had it all organised, and I had a day set up and a day shooting it. And and it was, their van got stopped by the police on the way to my shoot. And all because it was unroadworthy, their van.
My God.
So the police impounded this van with all my props in. And so I just sat on the floor of the location and just...
In an empty room?
And just called every PR I knew and just said, look...
Did you have to reset the whole shoot?
I had to sit on the floor of the setup and call everybody. So Laura Asher, amazing. Hugo was brilliant from Lombok. And I just like, my props have been pounded. I have to do this setup and this setup. What have you got? Can you get it to me? Because obviously I didn't even have a van. And the morning of the shoot, I got it all there and it worked. I remember, then I had a migraine on the shoot.
Not surprised.
Sent it to apologise, a bottle of whiskey and some migraine tablets. And I was like, thank you. But I was so pleased because on the day of the shoot, the photographer turned up and was like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting you to have it all set up. It looks great. And I was like, oh my God, I did it. She had no clue of anything that happened. Yeah, and of course then my props turned up halfway through the shoot. And I was like, here's a great load of props. Yeah, so that's probably one of my worst disasters.
When I was on Living Etc., I wasn't on Living Etc., I was doing work experience on Living Etc., and a sofa didn't turn up. And they literally said, can you, Emma, go and get a sofa? And I was like, huh? What? I was like quite green, quite new, didn't really know how to... I knew what to do, but I'd never had to call big items in.
Yeah.
And they were like, we need to get a sofa. Go call someone on Tottenham Court Road and get us a sofa. Here's a list of people. This is what colour we want. This is what style. Go. And I just phoned up and said, hi, it's Emma from Living Etc. we're doing a shoot and we really need a sofa. Have you got? And they literally went, yeah, no problem. And I was like, oh my God, that was so easy. I just was astounded you could get a sofa that day. People, and I was work experience. I could have been anyone. It was just,
Yeah,
it was
you
like,
just sneaked a sofa.
Yeah, but I think
I know.
It's all above board and stuff. But it's amazing what you can pull out of the hat, isn't it?
I think I was, from that experience, I was like, oh wow, every PR was so helpful and supportive and lovely, and they were like, don't stress, Maxine, we'll help you. And I just thought, I've built all these amazing relationships with all these PRs who are basically friends, who are just helping me out of this really crappy situation. And I just remember thinking, oh, I've got a really nice group of people, because obviously when you first go freelance you're a bit like, oh, you're on your own, and I was like, oh, I feel really supported by everybody.
It's really interesting how that whole it's who you know, not what you know, it's so true in life, in every area of life. But I agree, it's kind of like you build up these friendships and they go way past business.
But we did it old school, like, you didn't really, email wasn't really there, and even if it was, I'd always call them and say, I'm sending you an email. And then I'm like, hi, how's your weekend going? Blah, 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 what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then you hang out, and then you would never chat over email. I always phoned people.
Did you do that when you were like in-house?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I was always I think I might have mentioned this already on a previous podcast, but I was very aware that the deputy editor sat behind me on Woman and Home, and I think I was very noisy and very annoying. So I would talk really quickly. Hi, have you got that receipt? Is it that email? Is that okay? Is everything all right with that? Okay, great. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, and bye. And then when I went freelance, I'm like, oh, I've got all day. I can talk. No one can hear me. I'm not interrupting anyone. And I would just yabba all the time.
No, I didn't even think about it.
I know more people now than I did when I was on Woman and Home.
No, I didn't know. I don't, I think, again, just completely naive. I just like, that's what you do.
I don't think it's naive. I think it's confident.
I probably irritated loads of people about, but like, I've got to get my job done, and part of my job is building those connections and talking to people and getting to know them, and all the PRs move all the time and keeping track
especially
of them.
at the moment. It's like us guys move, and they move twice as much as us.
They always have moved. They always move around, and so I don't know. Maybe. Probably irritated a lot of people, but hey ho.
Let's talk about your blog. So you've got an award-winning blog, We Love Home. So what was your thinking when you started it? Because I've thought about my interiors. I started a cake blog to practice blogging, ready to do an interiors blog, and I could never get my head around what I really wanted to do. Did you have a really clear vision?
Yes. Well, I bought my house, which was falling apart.
And it's beautiful. It's not falling apart now.
It's not falling apart now. So it was a project, and I knew that I needed to get a lot of people on board to help me do it up. And I'd done up enough homes for TV shows and other magazines and makeovers, and I wanted to basically say to people, I can get my kitchen in a magazine, but I also want to offer you another layer of something, so that you can have the images from my kitchen that I will take and just share that content. So I wanted also, I had never found a blog that was doing up its house like I was doing on a budget. I'd never seen, everything seemed to just sort of happen, and I just wanted to cover this sort of real nitty gritty, but not some boring DIY like going, oh, well, I sanded my stairs. I wanted to go, right, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I'm just going to try it, and this is how it happens. So the blog's been a huge mega mix of like decorating DIY, like boring stuff like heating that I've tried to make it right. Okay, British Gas, let's work together. Your main target is women, so I'm a woman and I can talk to them, and also I have expertise and experience. So trying to give those kind of companies a voice and also kind of raise my profile a bit as well. So that was the thinking behind it, and to chat about my home design ideas and share those things. And then the videos came off the back of that, because I was like, I really should put myself a bit more out there and try. And I was always working a lot on TV shows, and I was doing. Can
we talk about that for a second? So what have you done on TV for anyone who isn't aware of that?
I pretty much staff all the changing rooms lot. I've been their stylist at some point or another. I've done, Lawrence and I worked together for quite a few years.
So what does that entail when you say you were their stylist? Did you do all the work? You did all the work, and then they came on camera.
Depends which people we're talking about. Some people are more happy to let other people do stuff for them, which is fair enough. Some people need a little bit of management. They have great ideas and you kind of need to, like balloons, like pull them down and like make them into reality. Okay, so you say you want a living room inspired by Jubilee craft market. What does that actually mean in reality? What are we talking? What sofa do you want? So a lot of it's kind of interpreting their vision into something. Lawrence, he's like, oh god, it's like a degree in interior design. He knows all the names of all the different skirting boards, corset, cornicing, different types of names, fireplace. He knows everything, and he's a one-man show. He just talks, and and I just sit there and I don't know, I just find, because period living, and I used to get crazy people write in about their bugs that they found in their thatched cottage, and I interviewed like stained glass people. I know all this kind of geeky stuff. Yeah. So to meet someone who's also as geeky, who knows all this kind of thing, and I can go, oh yeah, I know that. Okay, oh yeah, if you window, you mean this kind of corner thing. To really geek out with someone. So yeah, so it's good. So I worked with them, and then I've worked with some like celebrities, I did This Morning, I did a whole run with them, where we made over like real people's homes for TV with I can't remember what he's called, the dancer from Pineapple Studios.
Oh, Louis Spence.
That's it. Yeah. He was the presenter. So I was doubling up with him.
I bet that was brilliant. No, hard work. TV's hard work in general, right?
TV is a different genre. And then I've worked with Got One. I did the For Your Home for Free. I did that last 2 summers ago. And then I've done like Cowboy Builders. So it's a very different type of experience. A different type of experience, yeah. But because I was doing sort of micro presenting on these slots, and I was like, everyone kept saying, you need to get on camera, and my confidence level wasn't that great. So I just thought, if I had this YouTube channel, then I can practice on it and not worry that, where I'm looking and what I'm doing, just chat and just get more comfortable. And that's just been over the years. And also then my clients just love video. They just want if I can say to them, I'll do YouTube video of a front door or something, they're like, yay.
Yeah, because how many people do that?
Well,
many, I should imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you actually do your videos? Do you have someone come and film you? Do you get a friend round?
At the beginning, my ex-boyfriend used to film them for me. And then when we split up, I just thought, oh shoot, I've got to do it myself. So I watch a lot. I'm sort of basically, I get really geeky about stuff and totally study it. So I was like, right, YouTube is this year is YouTube. So I just watched loads of YouTube videos, how to do YouTube, what do people want. And I realised with YouTube, people aren't that bothered about really beautiful edited content. Like my best ever YouTube video is me sticking up window film on my...
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
I really like, and I'm like, that's had like loads and loads of views, and it's just the camera on there, it's not anything.
But I can see why, because I got some window film just before Christmas, and I'm quite crafty, I'm quite good at that sort of thing, but actually I went and looked at how to do it, because actually if you do it wrong and you get bubbles, it's a nightmare. So it's good, I'm going to stop saying actually, it's really important to see how to do it before you do it, and you can read instructions, but when you see it, you can see why YouTube is like the second biggest search engine, because you can learn so much.
Oh, anything. I'm always
I love window film as well.
I like my sister's boiler broke the other day, and I was just like, and she was like, oh, the radio's not working upstairs. I was like, well, did you watch on YouTube how to? And she was like, oh, I don't know it. And then she called her husband and went, Maxine's fixed our central heating. And he was like, how? And she was like, YouTube. There's just a geek out there who's done a video on something, and there's a niche market for everything. I mean, I watch for YouTube videos on makeup tutorials. I watch them on social philosophy. I watch TED lectures. There's just a whole wealth. But they don't have to be polished. They don't have to be perfect. People just want to do it. So I learned very quickly from having these really polished ones that my ex did to actually, and it kind of almost stifled me that I couldn't do it myself. Yeah. And then I was just like, I need to start creating content and do it myself. So I've got better now. I've gone from like hand holding, and then I used to edit on an app on my phone. Yeah. To now I have like a what's it called? Stand.
A tripod.
Thank you. A tripod that I put my
camera
camera on.
So you don't have someone, you literally just put your camera on a tripod.
Yeah.
And what, do you have an Olympus pen?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it? Oh, yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. It's on my wish list.
Yeah. So yeah, I do that. But the Olympus pen's good because you control it with your iPhone. So I can have the iPhone in my pocket and then record. I think I can do that.
Yeah, you can. It's got Bluetooth. capabilities.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do it with video actually, and maybe only with pictures. But yeah, I just do it, and sometimes like the camera's on my nose because I'm trying, like my upstairs one, it's here because I couldn't get the camera further back enough. But also I've learned maybe how that you just don't always talk. It's a bit like Instagram stories. You've got to break it up. You can't just talk.
So you do kind of voiceovers afterwards?
Yeah, and I put music on it. I put an open slider, and then I'll do like cute details, like, you know, I'll always drag the dog in, because obviously you don't want. I don't want to have a video that's just been. Oh,
you need personality.
And also honest, and I'm trying to do these ones where they're kind of honest and real. I'm trying to juggle that. Trying.
They're very good. So
Thank you.
That I've spoken about this before, is that like the whole podcasting thing, learning to edit. I'm in a podcasting group where they have videos, but you kind of think, but that's not telling me that exact thing I want to do. So you just Google. Well, you YouTube it, and then someone literally talks you through the steps on how to edit out that little click or whatever. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do exactly the same
thing. I do, for everything, anything I need, I YouTube it. Yeah.
My kids don't. My daughter watches a lot of makeup videos on YouTube and has done makeup videos. She's 11, and it's very interesting how things have changed because my kids watch YouTube. They don't watch TV.
Yeah, I've heard
so
that.
Things like creating content it's just kind of where things are going, isn't it?
Yeah, and then also at the beginning I kind of got told, you know, it can't be any longer than 3 minutes. It's got to be this. It's got to be that.
That's the case now.
I know. I've watched YouTube that, like, some of them are just them. I mean, like Zoella's, she just like films herself going around town a lot, and they're like 40 minutes. Sometimes I watch them, I'm like, why have I watched 40 minutes of it? What's she done? I'm like, oh, okay, I've just followed her around for the day. But that's kind of how people want to experience.
Yeah, it's like Big Brother, but real people. You can kind of watch other people's lives, and it's not like you think they're your friend. You're just interested in their personality, and it's like Instagram stories, isn't it? You follow people because there might be 10 people who do interiors, but you like the personality of one, and you will watch every video that they do.
I get obsessed. I mean, I admit, there's one particular blogger who I'm obsessed with, and I don't know why. And I'm like, she's 20 years younger than me, and I'm like, we have nothing in common, but I am obsessed with her, and everything she buys on hauls, I'm like, okay, I need to order that, and I order it all on Cube because I'm like, oh god, she's had that. And her home design, even though I've been doing interior design for 20 years, I'm like, oh, what's she done? I love it. And I'm like, you just find people who you feel talk to you or kind of reach out to you. It's just mad.
So with your blog, is the photography the same thing? Have you taught yourself how to kind of take pictures and stuff?
So again, beginning, it was my partner was a photographer and film, so he would do it, and then one of my USBs for my blog was that I wanted to use as much original photography as possible, and I wanted to showcase, and it had to be original content, not reproducing press releases or images that people use. I now mix it up a bit because some of those images are great and I want to showcase them as much as my own stuff is produced. But where I can, I will try and take my own photos. So I would say, since I started my blog, I probably done like a degree in
Great, can you teach me now, please?
No. I've done like a degree, I don't know, I feel like I'm doing a degree in photography, in video editing, in social media, and in WordPress. You know, you just have to learn all these skills.
You need lots of strings to your bows, don't you?
Yeah, and I find that just keeps, I've got a highly active brain, and I just find that just keeps my brain buzzing. If I'm like, oh my god, there's a new thing that's happening on Instagram, what do I need to do to and just keeps me inspired.
It's really important. So we mentioned that you live in Brighton.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make that work with things like launches in London and shoots in London? How do you kind of manage that? Because it is quite a journey. I know when I worked on Woman and Home, there were a couple of people who lived in Brighton and just commuted in every day. But what we do is slightly more erratic.
Yeah, I mean, when I worked on a magazine, I commuted every day. And I lived nearer to the train station, and that's just what I did. I don't know, you just kind of make it work. I mean, when I used to live in South London, I used to live in like East Dulwich for 3 years, and it used to take me just as long on public transport to get to work as it would have me to drive to London. So you just get your sweet spots with driving. So I leave probably at 5:30 in the morning.
Wow.
5:30, 6. I don't know I'm going to miss all the school run traffic.
Yeah, I get to location.
Yeah, get to location for maybe 8:30. It's fine. First one there. I can have a coffee, eat. I hate being late. Just nothing worse than being stuck in traffic on the way. No, so I just get up early. And you come home, and I've started to book Airbnbs when I'm up in, because a lot now, originally all the location houses were in South London, you know, they used to be all around like Balham and Tottenham and all around there, and now they've all moved east or northeast. So
it adds like another hour onto your journey.
It's just So stupid. Now I just
you can't leave at 4:30.
No, well,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, I've done that before, and then there was a fire on the Blackwell Tunnel. And
I've had a Blackwell Tunnel issue.
Yeah.
2 hours later, I arrived to shoot.
So no, I just don't worry. I just book an Airbnb. And I stay in Airbnb, and I can park the car. They normally let me take my dog, and and also then I get to live the dream in London for 2 days. It's quite nice. I quite like it because it's like, I used to live here, and now I'm hanging out in London. So that's good. Press shows is really challenging, because they always seem to want to do press breakfast at 9 a.m. And I'm like, I would love to come. I'd love to come, but that's a £60 train journey, and it's too London centric.
Yeah,
like. I had a PR this week email going, we'd really like to meet you, and I was like, okay, it's great, I'm in Brighton, do you want to come down? And they're like, no, but if you come up, and I'm like, well, if I come up,
it costs a lot. If you get it all the time, you can't say yes to everyone.
I can't say and you have to cherry pick. But with blogging, it's different. I can actually say to clients, if you want me to be there, then you need to pay for my travel. And
it's much more prevalent in blogging, isn't it? People are quite happy to pay bloggers to.
It's much more. I'm found having my foot in both blogging and styling worlds or editorial worlds, it's very different. So the relationship with bloggers is very much that you want me to produce something of content which you're paying for, so you need to cover my travel. Yeah. So if I do I would then ask for my travel, and then they would pay me to blog about it afterwards. So that's a lot, and then I'll probably team in several meetings in the same day. But that's the only trouble. Working on shoots is not a problem because I just drive. But going in and seeing people,
because I don't live anywhere near as far away from you. I live in Bromley in Kent, so I'm not that far, and I'm like a 20-minute walk to the station and then a 20-minute train journey in. But it still costs me, if I want to go in the morning, it still costs me nearly 20 quid to get in. So I don't do press breakfast. Well, I was going to say because of the kids, but actually my kids are old enough now to go to school on their own. But there was a time where I couldn't because I had to do the school run. But I won't go into London unless there's two things. And if there's one thing that I really want to go to, I'll have to make an appointment to see a PR or something. So it's not just like 6 hours out of my day that I'm going for one press event. It has to be a really big thing.
And tie in. And it's not the time. It's not time isn't the problem. It's the cost of the travel. £60.
£60 is a phenomenal amount of money to go and
to see a
some
press
product.
show,
and you'll see the lookbook afterwards.
And then sometimes you're like, oh, and you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But sometimes. I'm just very picky. But saying that,
I think we all are though. Even people who live in London are very picky as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a time and a cost balance, really.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you just have to pick and choose what's going to work. So I do think PRs need to be more resourceful. I mean, I said to this PR who wanted to come meet me, why don't we have a Skype coffee? Yeah. Why don't we Skype me and we'll just book a time and have a coffee? I think PRs need to be, because they're getting the same faces, the same people who can go. And they're not reaching out to other people. I mean, I get missed off lists quite a lot now because of that, and it's not particularly fair because I am prevalent.
Yes, you're very you're in the editorial world. So
exactly.
See everything.
Yeah.
I kind of like to think about people who are listening who are wanting to get into styling, which we're going to get onto something else in a minute. It's very exciting that we are going to be doing soon. But what tip would you have for stylists or people who want to become stylists? Like, what do you think it takes to be a stylist, or what do you think you wish you knew before you started? That, like now, years with all this experience now, what would you say? Make sure you do this, or make sure you don't do that. Is there anything you can think of that?
Yeah, there's quite a few things. The industry is so different to when I went into it. It's like a totally different industry.
Yeah. There's the internet to start with.
Well,
I'm saying that for you. I mean for me too. That sounded really rude. You're so old. There was no internet.
I know. It's like fax. Everybody. Fax off like things, and then wait for the machine, and then you'd I'd forget to put paper in it because I was and then be like, I'd put it in, and there'd be 50 faxes come through, and you're like, what are these faxes?
Yeah. Oh, everyone's doing it, and you're like, where's mine?
Yeah. So I think style assistants is a great opportunity actually now, because when I started out, you couldn't be a full-time freelance styling assistant. There just wasn't, because there was the teams on editorial, they didn't need a freelance assistant. So now there's a big opportunity. You can become full-time style assistants, and really good ones get booked out.
Yeah,
absolutely. I book set builders before anything. I book set builders and assistants first before anything else, because you have to work your way through so that if you're good, you'll get booked. But to get to that level, it's difficult. Like, we've had this conversation before, that we get probably 6 or 7 emails a week from women and girls, men, maybe wanting to work into our industry. So I've written actually quite a few blog posts on this, on how to do it.
Oh, we'll link through to them on the show notes.
So my first thing is, when you email a stylist saying you'd like to do some work experience, perhaps mention something about to the stylist that what they've done that you enjoy.
Yeah.
So I often get emails like just people saying, "Oh, I really like interiors, and I really want to do this, and I've done that." Me. Yeah. And actually, the ones that I generally look out on are the ones that are like, "Oh my god, I saw this thing you did on Instagram. I saw the shoot that you did.
Yeah.
I really love this particular image."
Yeah, and they actually have looked at it or read the blog post. They're not just skimming and sending it to everybody. They are actually relating to something that you have said or done. It's not just a blanket email they're sending to everyone.
Yeah, and they're like, "I really like your style. That appeals to me because, because we all are different. The way I style things is completely different for you to other styles. So if you're applying for all different ones, it's great, but you've got to work out what you want to learn." So that's one thing, maybe targeting who you're speaking to, and be more, perhaps thinking a little bit more what you can offer the stylist, because we are time poor, and I've probably taught so many assistants how to be. You probably the same, aren't you?
Absolutely.
And half my assistants are now like style editors, and
that's the other thing, is that people who come in as your assistant then go and get jobs. And then you've got to find a new assistant. So there is always a constant turnover. There is always a turnover.
And they're always recommending each other. So it's always about networking and meeting other assistants. Actually, I'm going to do a blog post soon on what interior stylist assistants give their secrets to be a great assistant. Yeah. Because they know, they network, they talk to each other, they all know all the other stylists, they all know what you need to do. So I think it's to do that. I mean, a lot of it, you probably have a little bit of money behind you, because you're not going to be paid very much, which is sad. But I mean, I did it for years and commuted. I lived at home with my parents when I was way too old that I should have been doing it to do it. So I mean, if this is a career that you love, that's kind of one sacrifice you have to make, which is a shame, because I do think it means that some people who aren't probably from such privileged backgrounds suffer. But I had 2 jobs. I was working weekends. So Lucy Well, do you know Lucy?
Yeah, Lucy Well.
She used to work in Habitat at the weekend, as well as working full time on a magazine. It's like, and in
I did
a bar.
I did exactly the same. I worked at Gap in the day, and I worked in a restaurant Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. Gap Saturday and Sunday during the day, and then I did assisting Monday to Friday. Yeah, I mean that's it. That's what you do.
That's what you had to do, and
I loved it though. Yeah, I think it's that whole on the go. It's quite buzzy, and
I didn't mind.
I don't remember feeling tired. Remember just getting things done.
Yeah, I think so, because you feel like you're progressing. Yeah, so that was good. And then, I mean, I always say to assistants, I mean, I'm from a blogging background. Now I would say I'm blogging, but I'm like, if you need to get your work out there, you need to be blogging about your work.
That's very true.
And I just think, as an assistant, you should be building up your social networks. You should be following PRs. They should be following you back. You should be Instagramming about your shoots. Check with the stylist first.
Yes, I was just going to say, there's a whole thing. We had I used to do a Facebook Live session to the Facebook group, and we were talking about that people assistants were shooting images on shoots, but they were being slightly misleading that it was their shot or their shoot, and they were assisting. So you have to make sure that first we have to check that. I'm not telling you, I'm telling the people listening. Make sure that the client is happy for you to share the product, because quite often shoots are being done. And their competitors can see and copy within the time frame that they're shooting. And you have to check that the stylist is happy for you to do that, Yeah. And I remember someone did it very well. She, a friend was styling an event, and the assistant took lots of pictures. Well, the stylist didn't have time to stop, because you don't have time to stop and take pictures, but the assistant did. So she was sharing all the images, and she was crediting everybody, and she did it really well. She was like, I'm assisting this person for this client, and here's some gorgeous shots, and she did it really well. Yeah. And actually that will make me want to book someone again, because they're being very kind of generous with their they're sharing. And I think if someone doesn't, that would put me off. But if they do, that would make me want to work with them again.
And I've had an assistant who I met, and she's brought her really fancy camera, and she has an amazing interiors blog. She's great. And she took photos of me on my shoot doing setup shots. I don't have pictures of me doing stuff. Yeah. And she took really nice ones, and I was like, I'm booking you for
Did she charge you?
No, she wrote a blog post about it and just said how great experience, and then shared some, then emailed me the images, like, brilliant. And then I was like,
lovely.
The next shoot, I was like, bring your camera and can you come? And then she shot some shots of me styling the kitchen. I was like, thank you, because then I can use that on my blog.
Yeah.
And now you've got images. She wrote another blog post. So I think there's a lot of that. But there's also like my assistants, they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, just style something. Just like, they're like, my home isn't good enough. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I didn't have a nice home for ages.
Or a nice camera.
No,
just
nothing.
Do it with your phone, flat lays,
start staying at your mum's house, a friend's house, or a corner. Or even I've said, take a chair out. Tweak won an award for doing a chair, or like a whole shoot where you just put sofas and in a field or something. And I was like, right, take a chair, stick it on the downs. Take a shot of it. Just try and think out the box and be imaginative rather than constrained. And then you can show those images to stylists. Look, I've just done this little shoot. What do you think about it? Yeah. What can I do with these images? Can I do anything with it? And I was like, I think I personally prefer a assistant who's very proactive, who probably would run a blog or have some sort of social media. Because that's probably all I'm going to talk about them on the shoot with. And has got a little bit of get up and go, but really wants to practice styling. And those are the girls that I'm naturally drawn to. Yeah.
I think they're a great tip. Right. Well, my next question would normally be what's next, but I think I know what's next. You're about to launch the Secret Styling Club.
Yes.
Is that right?
Secret Styling Club. Yes.
And you've got a workshop booked in the next couple of months, I think it is. So we're recording this in February.
So I've got one in Barrenball and Hove on March the 9th. And then 2 more. We're doing a pop-up one at Idle Home Show. And then we've got one in Cult Furniture in April. And then we've got something else coming up as well that is not quite confirmed. But this is with me and Laurie.
You're doing this anyway. You're doing it with Laurie Davidson. How do you guys know each other?
So Laurie and I have known each other for years through magazines. So this is I am a communicator. So she was the homes editor of Style at Home magazine, and I used to place a lot of houses with her. And every week I would message her, and I was like, "Hi Laurie, how's your weekend? Oh, I've been doing blah, 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 I've done this." And she's like, "Oh my god, I love yoga." And I was like, "Try this position," and we just like chatted. Oh, you're my cat, my dog, and we would just chat for like weeks for years. And I was like, you are my virtual friend. I know you are. And like when I split up with my evil ex-boyfriend, and like I called her and told her, she was, oh my god, it's so sad. And she was like a true friend. And then
had you never met?
No.
How long were you kind of virtual friends for before you met?
Probably I think
years.
Like 2 years or something. Yeah, and I had the same with Anna Morley. Anna Morley,
I don't know her.
Anna from Real Homes magazine. It was the same, and every week we would chat and we'd talk, and you just sort of build those connections. So so we chatted, and then she left Style at Home to go freelance. And I remember saying, "Oh, when you leave, I'm really going to miss our weekly chats." And I was like, "I feel like I know you." And then we met each other at pressure, and it was a bit awkward because I was like, "Oh, hi."
Did you want to hug her, but you didn't want to hug her?
And I was like,
I've done that
because I didn't even really know what she looked like. So I was a bit like, "Oh, you're Laurie, it's Maxine," and we were like, "Oh, hi." I saw Laurie at the Freelance Stylists Christmas drinks. And we were chatting, and I said, I've got this idea. I said, you and I have got unique experience and skills, and she is very much from, I used to work in magazines, but she's fresh out of magazines. And I said, I work with clients and big shoots. And I said, we need to tell people, I keep getting asked all the time, how do you do your job? What's it? And I said, there is, let's create a workshop and teach people to do our job. So the Secret Styling Club is we're running bespoke pop-up workshops, and we're teaming with great brands that we like. So Farrow & Ball, At Our Home, we're trying to we're going to do one hopefully at Neptune. Some nice brands that really sit really well. And we want deco-obsessed, crazy paint people who love interiors and really keen to know what we do to come to our workshops And then we are going to give them all the inside secrets on, that's why the secret part comes in.
I like it.
On our
I like
styling
it.
tricks.
People probably feel like there is a secret to what we do. So I think that's really intriguing. I think they'll love that.
So that's what my friend was saying. So when we were trying to find the name, and she was like, and I was like, I don't know about the secret. And she's like, look, people who don't know anything about interiors just think it's a massive secret that you won't let us into. And she's like, if you just sell it, you're going to tell secrets. And I was like, so when me and Laurie were working on the workshop, we were like, is that really obvious? Is that not obvious? Do people know about that? Do we know about that? And I was like, I never knew that, Laurie.
That's really interesting because you do, like sometimes you, like probably the best example you've said today is when everything went wrong and you had to then pull a shoot together from nothing.
Yeah.
We know stuff we don't realise
we know
that other people don't know.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was quite difficult. So then we've had to like test out the workshop. I've talked to loads of blogging friends who are obviously completely interiors obsessed. My sister, my family, my friends, like this is what we're going to do. So so it's going to be like you learn all the skills that interior stylists have. We all have these set skills that we've honed down, and we're going to show people where they have them too. And then there's going to be like little styling challenges. We're going to give people confidence to decorate with colour. Sorry, I'm doing we're going to give people colour confidence with the Farrenball paint expert who's going to give a talk, and then we're doing like shelfies. Like no one had heard of a shelfie.
Oh really?
I was so shocked.
See, this is the kind of thing we're in this world, so we just.
I was like,
we
shelfie. And so I told some friends of mine, we're going to do a shelfie, and they were like, and then after like 10 minutes, they were like, what's a shelfie? And I'm like, a shelfie. When you take a picture of your shelf and you style it, and they were like blank faces.
Yeah, like you style your shelf.
Really?
How'd you do that then?
And I was like, oh my god, I spent way too much time on Instagram. And I was like, okay, no, but this is the stuff that people need to know. So we've come up with some skills, some practical stuff that people can take away, and then of course we've got amazing goodie bags and fizz. So yeah, I'm really, really excited because Laurie is like, we were saying she's like a force of nature. Yes. So between us, we just want this to we just want this to work. We want to kind of like spread the word. Yeah. But it isn't a massive, it is a secret, but it isn't a massive secret. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very exciting.
It's really taken off. I mean, like,
I'm tempted to come.
See,
I think it would be so much fun.
I've got my assistant and her mum coming because I was like, oh my god, but surely you see everything. But then I was like, well, probably you don't because you're always working on shoots. Yeah, and actually, we're always like, do this, do this, do that. Actually, to sit and dedicate 3.5 hours to some fun thinking about how you do stuff and then practical stuff.
And to just experience that with your mum. It's a lovely thing to do with your mum, especially if she's into interiors as well. That's a lovely way to spend the evening.
Yeah, well, it ties in with Mother's Day. So, and we sold half our tickets within 24 hours of going.
As a brand new workshop, that's phenomenal.
We were just like, okay, I mean, I'd done a little bit of a warm-up on Instagram, but I just put these like Instagram stories out, and we were like while I was doing the Instagram stories, like, and Laurie was pinging me going, we've sold 2, and I was like, oh my god! I was like, no, I didn't think anyone was going to come. I was not negative. I just thought, oh god, we're really going to struggle to sell tickets. But so this is really like fired me up that this is going to be something that we're going to do long term. So
and it's going to be fun. It's really good fun to do things with people.
And also like I suppose because I've met all these like real people who blog, and they are really passionate about interiors, which I probably had a long time ago, and then you get caught up in the middle of it, and you sort of get caught, you were saying like Easter, you get caught up in doing the cycle of interiors. To suddenly feel inspired again, it's really energising. And so this is what we want to bring. This is our plan.
Very exciting, very exciting. So if anyone wants to have a look at what workshops you've got coming up, do they go to
my blog?
So that's welovehomeblog.com. And if they want to email you,
so it's Maxine at welovehomeblog.
Yeah, and also if you want to watch Maxine on Instagram, that's welovehomeblog 2, not 2. That's also welovehomeblog. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Do you know what? When I do these podcasts, I learn so much. It's really great. You're very inspirational. You're a very busy person.
You're making me blush.
Am I good?
I literally just sit here on my laptop all day. I don't think of myself as that. And thank you.
Well, thank you very much for all your time. And let me come to your lovely house in Hove.
Thanks for listening to the Inside Stylist podcast. You'll find all the links from today's episode in the show notes at insidestylist.com/Maxine Brady. So as you heard, Maxine was talking about the Secret Styling Club workshops, and this was recorded back in February, and some of those workshops have already happened, but there are lots more in the pipeline, and the next one is on the 25th of April, so there's still time to sign up, and that one is in London. There are details and links on the show notes, but also you can find out more on Maxine's blog, welovehome.com. So thanks for listening, and until next time, bye for now.